Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. This meeting is being held in accordance with the public laws of 1975, Chapter 231. And adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by notice sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and Star Ledger, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal building and on the municipal website. OPMA authorizes municipalities to conduct public meetings through the use of streaming services and other online meeting platforms. The Red Bank Council is meeting in person, as well as providing an option for the public to participate via Zoom video meetings. Please note that the option to attend is being provided as a courtesy. Therefore, if Zoom becomes unavailable during the meeting and it cannot quickly be fixed, council will continue with the remainder of the meeting. For those joining us via Zoom, please raise your hand during designated times to be recognized for a comment. Whether you're appearing in person or via Zoom, you must provide your name to be recognized. So again, thank you everybody for being here. We did this the first time over at the lodge on Dr. James Parker a couple months ago, and we had talked about it, about trying to do regular meetings for the community in different locations. So this is our second one of those. And yeah, I want to jump right into it. Jim's going to go over some of the projects that are happening, and then we're just going to open it up for questions and see what you're concerned about. So take it away, Jim.
Everybody, good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jim Gannon, the Borough Manager. Thank you very much for being here tonight. We want to give an overview of where we're at in the borough, projects that we have going on, some capital improvements that we are going through now. I did ask a number of our department heads to be here tonight to give an overview of some of the things that they're working on in their department. So I am going to ask them to participate as well. But I do want to, again, like I said, thank you for being here and taking interest in this. We do want to hear the feedback that you have. As the meeting goes, let me see if I can advance here. There we go. Just working through our agenda for tonight. Again, going over some current projects, hearing from our department heads, and then Q&A and our closing. So just to set expectations out the gate, we do anticipate to be here from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. Of course, if we end a little early, I want to encourage you all to enjoy some refreshments in the back, and we can be around too for some questions offline. So getting right into it, Monmouth Street Streetscape Project. A lot of you have probably seen this going on Monmouth Street. This is a project that we're directly in the middle of right now. This was through a DOT grant for the streetscape project that was awarded to the borough some time ago. There were some delays in the process early on, but now we've kind of hit the full steam running with this. You'll see that the one video on the left here is the condition that we had experienced. A lot of the pavers were lifting around the trees, and now on the right, there's been significant improvements. They were in front of Borough Hall for the last 2 days, working on the apron there and moving their way up Monmouth Street towards the train station. So again, the company that we awarded the project to, our low bid on that project, has done a tremendous job at the work. And we've actually gotten a lot of feedback from the business owners too, that they are very impressed with the way that they're moving along at the speed, making sure that their access to their businesses is open, which is probably the biggest part of that project. The biggest challenge in that project is making sure that the access to the business is open. So we've got a lot of feedback. We've been in constant communication with them. And again, I've heard from a number of residents, people that are just coming to the downtown, that this is a significant improvement than what we had. So we're happy to keep that project moving forward. And the total on that project for construction was 1.18 million. And we're hoping to wrap up within the next 45 days or so. And then on to Marine Park. Obviously, this has been a lot of newsworthy events with Marine Park. We did get through phase 1 of Marine Park, which was the construction of the new parking lot, which was at the site of the old tennis courts. and the deconstruction of the old parking lot, which if you've been down there recently, you would have seen that was completed as well. I think most notably out of that phase is that we were able to add over 28,000 square feet of green space to that project. So that was pretty significant in the overall project. And also of note, as we move into phase two, which is going to be the construction of the playground and the equipment that we expect to have coming in, which will be in early fall. Right now, we're at design phase. We're wrapping up the design phase, which will go out to bid. We'll award the bid and then start the construction of phase two. But again, most notably is that the borough received a Jake's Law grant. Jake's Law is for a completely 100% accessible playground, which we spent a lot of time on the design of that, going back and forth with NJDEP. They reviewed all the components of our project and approved us for that grant, and that award is $750,000. So again, that was significant. We also applied to the Monmouth County Open Space Grant for $475,000. And an additional $350,000 has been applied for the adding amenities to Marine Park, which is another grant that we applied for through the local recreation improvement fund. So we're definitely excited about this project as a borough. I think it's going to be a huge win for the borough. I think it's going to bring tremendous amount of interest to Marine Park. We plan to program that space, for many, many years to come. And I think that what you see now down there will be completely reimagined as something that's really going to take us into the next several years in the borough. Obviously, another project that you are well aware of is our lead service line replacement project. This is a massive project. The state and all municipalities in the state have an obligation by 2035 to replace all lead service lines in their municipalities. We are way ahead of the game. We are cruising through this project at really, really good speed. Just recently, we entered into phase three of this project. So phase one consisted of a $3.1 million project with over 1,000 test pits on the west side. We focused on the west side in phase one with 345 lead service line replacements. So again, a great accomplishment in just that phase alone was replacing 345 lead service lines. Phase two, which we had just recently finished up and are actually just finishing up, was a $2.5 million project with 232 lead service line replacements. And now we're entering into phase three, which is a $2.1 million bid project with 264 test pits to finish out our test pits, and then 279 lead service line replacements. One of the challenges of the project is obviously getting entry into the basements where these lead service lines go into. So you will see notifications from the borough coming out requesting the right of entries to be completed by the homeowners so that we can adequately assess what the material is of the lead service line and access those properties. And then phase four will be completing this out and wrapping up the project for the whole borough, which we anticipate obviously having done well before 2035. So again, I think that it's been a tremendous accomplishment thus far because of the speed in which we're moving, the collaboration and communication we've had with the residents, our contractors. You would have seen Montana construction probably all over the borough in various different phases, completing restoration, doing the test pitting, moving from street to street. We've also increased our communication to the community about a lot of the road closures that we've experienced. Again, this is not a pretty project where we don't have to dig up roads and sidewalks and everything else. This is necessary stuff that we have to do. And like we say a lot, and I truly live by this, progress is messy. And the goal is obviously to get back once we're finished and restore all these areas that we've had to uncover. And you would have seen a lot of that restoration work already getting done. But I would just the timing of it, the concrete work that had to be done to restore the areas that had to be dug up came, in contact with the winter and the colder months. So we don't want to do concrete work in the winter. So asphalt went down on some of the sidewalks, but now you will see a lot of that restoration being done with actual concrete sidewalks. So again, moving forward there, Tom, please.
I'd just like to add that this project for first, phase one or phase two, we have an infrastructure bank loan, which will cover 50% of the project up to $8 million. So we'll save $4 million of debt that we'll have to go out for.
And I believe the phase that was in the census tract on the west side has 100% principal forgiveness, correct?
Yes, for the half of it though.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point, thanks. And Tom is our CFO. Again, you guys will be introduced to everybody when they give you their overview. Obviously want our department heads to introduce themselves to you as well. Moving along. And and please, council, mayor, if you guys have anything to add to any of these projects, please feel free to hop right in. But one of the things you would have seen around town as well is a bike rack installation project. We received a grant from
Realtors Association.
Realtors Association for bike rack installations. We purchased 24 bike racks and a bike repair station to be installed as well. The bike repair station will be installed at Borough Hall, right next to the current bike rack that's there, that's in the shape of a bike. For example, right in front of Borough Hall, closest to the Count Basie mural and Monmouth Meats, you will see 3 new bike racks that are put there. There's a few out here in front of the senior center and several others that are strategically placed around the borough to obviously encourage the biking, to give a place for bikers to use these racks. But this project, again, is ongoing too. Because concrete work was involved in this, we did have to wait for some more months, but these guys are hitting the ground running. And I'm happy to say that this is being installed by our public works crew, and they're doing a great job. This is a project that we are currently working on that I'm excited to share because I think it's going to have a significant impact on this particular intersection at Doctors James Boulevard and Bridge Avenue and South Bridge Avenue. Myself, Chief Frazee, Sergeant Kovar, our engineers, we've been working pretty diligently on this project to make sure that we are coordinating and anticipating any challenges that we're going to have with this, and also seeing the potential improvements that we can have to pedestrian safety, most importantly, pedestrian safety, but also just we understand this whole intersection is a challenge. And I think for those, right, I even see a couple like laughs in the audience because
We're all gonna react.
yeah, everybody's gonna react. But I think that as red bankers, you have experienced some way, somehow you have an anecdotal story probably from this intersection. And I think that what we're looking to propose here is going to significantly impact and positively impact what we are trying to accomplish here. So on the left of the screen, or I'm sorry, my left is the current intersection aerial shot. On the right is what we've been working with the engineers on. This includes a pedestrian refuge island. Thank you for that specific term. So this includes a pedestrian refuge island, which is in front of South Bridge Avenue, and it also limits turns so that movements that can actually be made. Sergeant Kovar, if I'm right, if you're coming out of South Bridge Avenue, you will no longer be able to make the left there. So you will no longer be able to make that left there, which it's dangerous. It's dangerous to do on a good day, and it's dangerous to do at any other time, the busy moments. We did traffic counts through this project, which we analyzed all the data that we actually got from the traffic counts, but that didn't only include the amount of cars, that included all the movements of the vehicles, left turns, right turns, or people doing illegal turns. So we are considering a bunch of data in this project to make sure that we're making the best decision for this intersection. And given 4 alternates from the traffic engineer, we felt that and along with their guidance and talking about, again, those anecdotal stories and having the police department weigh in on this, looking at the crash data and everything else. The alternate that we went with here, alternate number 3, was the best solution for this intersection. So this again is grant funded through NJDOT. This was a project that had started in, I believe, 2023. And now we're in 2025 here and really, again, hitting the ground running on this, making sure that those grant dollars are being put to good work. Sorry, you want to add anything to this, Chief?
No, I think it's gonna be a big improvement to the intersection as far as safety and, hopefully it'll increase the flow of traffic. Other than that, I can't wait to see it in service.
There's one more thing I'd like to add to that, and I'm looking at Heather as I say, but when they're going to put the box, they're gonna put the box in the intersection to make it more
I believe
visible.
so, yeah, this was just,
This was not-
this isn't the final
Correct.
design.
Yeah, one of the requests that we had was in the square of that intersection where you see pavement. We did ask them to put don't block the box like you see in New York City. Well, many cities is just to not block the box of the intersection. It creates congestion. It makes people do things that are not easily anticipated. So that's something that we've asked from traffic safety as well for them to incorporate. Again, another intersection that we have heard a lot about is Lincoln Avenue and River Street. We were approached and Nancy Blackwood attended a Sustainable Jersey conference. And after that conference, we were approached by the National Center for Safe Streets to Schools. And they said, hey, we have a $10,000 mini grant available. Do you have a project in mind that you'd be interested in? And sure enough, we did. I mean, we had originally applied last year to NJDOT to incorporate bump outs, pinch the road at that intersection to encourage people to slow down when they're approaching that intersection. Some more highly visible crosswalks there, and the grant was denied. So to use the mini grant, and we are under a constraint here of July to use this money. I think that we're able to come up with a great plan for this using what was already engineered, which you'll see up there as well. You can see the overlay of the roadway of what was already engineered. We're going to be mimicking those bump outs using paint and using
Tactical urbanism.
thank you, tactical urbanism. I always say urban tacticalism. That's but so tactical urbanism, which is an improved approach to accomplishing what we want to accomplish, and very common. Exactly. So you'll see an example of what that looks like on the my left side of the screen over here. You'll see an example of what that looks like. And we look to do something with this as well. We want to get the community engaged. We're going to reach out to the Boys and Girls Club to help us out as well. But there's a $10,000 mini grant for this intersection, which we are planning to go to Monmouth County for shared services to paint the outline of what we need in a thermoplastic, highly visible paint, which is usually the white paint with the reflector flex in it, and then highly visible crosswalks. The paint won't go in the crosswalks because we want to make sure that those are maintained and visible. And then the outline of the thermoplastic paint on the corners will incorporate bollards as well, knockdown bollards. So I think that naturally what this will do is pinch that roadway, encourage people to slow down. Another project on Layton, or an inquiry that we have out there right now, is with 2 contractors that we've worked with. One that did the pavement at Marine Park, the new parking lot, Precise Construction, and Fernandez Construction, who was awarded our 2025 road program, is to look at Layton Avenue and potentially incorporate 2 speed humps on that road. If many of you have obviously traveled Layton Avenue, you will notice that speed humps kind of stop or they weren't incorporated all the way down. I think it's no secret to any one of us that Layton Avenue is undoubtedly a through street, right? It goes from one stretch to the other. People use that all the time for that purpose. And hearing the feedback from residents that that could be something that could assist the drivers in realizing that their speed needs to be decreased. We have done speed counts at this intersection. On the aggregate and the average is people are doing the speed limit. However, there is, the data that shows that there are some that, are doing 35, are doing 32 miles an hour. They're not at the 25 miles an hour, but I think it was 85%. 85% were traveling 27 miles an hour. So that was the last data that we got with this project here as well. We have another data point that we have to accomplish after the project. So we will have those speed counters out there again to record and analyze the data as well.
When we get the paint done, we bring the limiter and student like to have the paint the limiter as well.
All right. So before I go into that portion, I do want to obviously open it up to anybody on any things that I covered. If you had any feedback or anything to add to any of the projects that we have going on right now, before I open up to the departments.
Two things. One, and just to be clear, I believe when we're talking about the lead line replacement, we're replacing galvanized lines as well, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. I'd like to call a little bit of an audible. I mean, people are being patient. I'd like, if it's okay with the department heads, I want to get the floor open to some questions. Maybe we can mix it up a little bit, but I'm sure people are here because they have a concern with something. So yeah, you step right up to the microphone.
Marjorie Cavalier, Bridge Avenue. I have a question about Front Street and the intersection of Bridge Avenue. So I realize it's a county road, so we have limited control over what happens there. But I wondered if somewhere somebody could ask to put a timed walk sign there, because sometimes you're caught in the middle of that intersection and people are coming down Bridge and making a right to try and make it to the railroad station, so it's pretty dangerous. And so another issue on Front Street, which is also a county road, still a county road, I just wondered if it was on the timeline to repave that road, because there are some dips in that road, and I don't know if anybody remembers, I think it was last summer, we had that deluge of rain. And actually, it flooded around, Pazo, and people couldn't get past.
Yes.
So, sorry?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that if we were able to repave that road, so maybe like change the pitch of it or something, and of course, Public Works to make sure the drains stay clean, especially if we're anticipating a weather event. It would be helpful. So it's not really a question in a way. I don't know if anybody can give me a timeline, but, but it's a concern, especially on days that they have the farmer's market behind, the Eisner building. A lot of those people, don't know what it's like to cross there normally, and, pretty scary to watch them sometimes, so.
We were actually just talking about this area today, so Heather.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand, so there's a crosswalk signal, but it's not the countdown.
Yeah, it doesn't give you the time, how much time you have to get across.
I can certainly inquire county if they can upgrade that. They've been pretty receptive. I've encountered where the buttons weren't working. And one of them was when we had the street fair, and by the time I came in and.
There's not even a button there.
Right, that's what I mean, yeah, I'll see what they can do as far as
Yeah.
improvements, but I just wanna say that they've been very receptive in that when I called them to report it, there was a truck outside until within 20 minutes. Fixing the sensor, so hopefully, but yeah, I can certainly inquire with them, that's it.
No,
Yeah.
it's just.
No, I'm talking about how, when the lane changes, there's the.
Yeah, you have a countdown, like, do I have to speed up or can I saunter across or, take my life in my hands if I, really need to get to Wawa for that coffee and am I gonna chance it or whatever, so.
Also, I believe, Front Street is scheduled to be repaved. I don't know if you have a time.
I don't have a time frame. That was just the general conversation we were having.
Yeah, well, a conversation with them, again, should be the pitch, obviously, we know it's kind of like a washerboard now, which, I
It
mean,
goes
we
like
can
that,
live with.
every few years it gets like that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it's.
We can live with that, it's just like the flooding issue, so, all right, appreciate it.
And, hello, I'm Terrence, the Public Works Director.
Mhm.
I will also reach out to the county about storm drains, making sure that they're clean, and we'll also monitor them as well.
Right,
Every-
and
I love this meeting.
so I have to tell you that, for a while I was picking up garbage on one Wednesday a month with Adam. And, I just felt that they didn't do anything with the data that they were picking up to kind of pass on to you, like what kind of stuff are we finding? There's some really weird stuff, like, panties and flippers and that kind of stuff. But the thing that concerned me more than anything else was the plethora of those shot bottles in town. I mean, like all over, and it's a very bad message for people coming to visit our town. So I don't know if you could by ordinance prohibit those, because, just nobody can sell those shot bottles, that, eliminate that one, but, okay. I may be back up if there's another issue. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, Barbara.
Short people. Barbara Boas, 135 Branch Avenue. Two things. First, thanks for my crosswalk, guys. Took 3.5 years, 4 years of me asking, and Jim, you did it. You did it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And you want to know the miracle of it all? People actually stopped. Shocked and all. Here's what I've been talking about this to myself for about 3 years now. Walking down Broad Street about 3 years ago, or something, there was a gentleman at the corner who was blind. And he didn't know when the signals changed to cross the street. 95% of the towns in the world have dingers on those things. They make some kind of a sound when the light changes for the handicap, for the basically for the blind. So something we need to look into. We are not necessarily filing, meeting all the needs of our friends who have disabilities. So let's see if we can do that. I can't imagine. I mean, get up there, ringing a bell. I don't care what you do, but it's something we have to do. It's very, very dangerous. And this is gonna fall out and kill me, so this is also dangerous. Wouldn't be the first thing you do for the last few days.
Walk away slowly.
Yes.
It's a lie.
My name is Miss Holden. I live on Layton Avenue. I think it's a great idea what you want to do for River Street. I don't care what color you paint it.
Okay.
I really don't. I paint is cool with me, but I'm the goal and the ceiling fan. However, before you address the beautiful color, we need to do something with the water. I live on Layton Avenue, heavy rain, and it pools into my driveway, and I'm a block from River Street.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's like literally water comes into my driveway because the water on my side of the street does not go in that drain. Now, whether it's because the basin is too small or it's cluttered, and unfortunately DPU may not be able to get to it because they are busy, the town is a busy town. And another thing, for the people who did the survey on Layton Avenue, that they're driving 25 and 37, I welcome any one of you people to come sit on my porch, because I have a beautiful porch, and I can tell you how fast they're going. So I don't know when you did your study, what part of Layton Avenue the study was done on, but I live between Bank Street and West Bergen Place. It will always be West Bergen Place to me. Okay, there's a liquor store there that I'm a little concerned about what they're trying to do there also. So I have a small speed bump directly in front of my house. It was lowered several years ago. I don't know why. It's not as deep as the one that's further down toward Locust. And thank God for Sunset, where you have a dip in the road that slows them down. But when they hit that speed bump where I live, from there clean down to where Kitch is, they're not driving 25, 27, or 30 miles an hour. So if you can address that, come sit with me. I do have iced tea. Do something with the water that is pooling on my side of the street.
Where are we putting the additional speed bumps?
Right where you're talking about. So if you looked at Layton Avenue from Newman Springs Road, there's more than there is at the other end. I don't know why. I don't know if I was part of
Well,
that.
I'm gonna tell you this, I'm a longtime resident of Red Bank, I've probably been here longer than some of y'all have children. The one in front of my home was larger. It was deep, and I loved it, I mean, because number one, you can't park in front of my house like this. Like that. But the problem was, somebody's car came over it, and it hit so hard that their bottom started to leak. And 3 days later, Public Works came out and lowered it. So did she know to get it lower? And this was years ago. I've been back in Red Bank 33 years. So it was higher, and they came down and smoothed it down, and people go over it like it's nothing. Like it's not there. So my concern would be that and the water pooling down on the corner where it's a gray house that was redone. The water literally just sits out there. Those are two of my concerns on both sides.
Yeah.
Those are two of my concerns. I
Okay.
have more, and I'll be back.
Tommy had something to add to that, huh?
Yeah, the original ones were put in, were the traffic calming studies,
Is that,
and that was, I think, 2002, 2003.
makes sense?
And wanted a speed bump, you couldn't do it legally, so they called them speed humps. And
Okay,
they were just wider, and, you know, they weren't as drastic. The one up further was a little bit too high as the ground settled over the years around it. I
okay.
believe that's why they had to
Lower.
take it down a little bit, but there was 2 or 3 original ones. And again, that was part of a path.
Okay, so you recall,
Traffic
okay,
Yeah, I was on it as
Oh.
Gail Riley at the time.
okay.
So that's how that all started, and that was a result of the same thing you're talking about, because I lived on Layton Avenue for 18 years. You know, and it's
I
exactly
grew
what
up
it
there.
happened.
I grew up at 148 and
You know where I was.
I do, I've been.
And then what wound up happening is, if you remember when they did this bridge, for 18 months to 2 years, we had all that traffic there.
We still got a lot of.
And that was the
traffic.
only thing that slowed it down, because traffic will get backed up all the way past Sunset.
Well, now it's backed up, I mean, the four-way stop is there. Okay, that's unique in its own way, but okay, that's supposed to stop it, but I see people running, I seen people curse out the crossing guard there. Which is rude, because they don't wanna stop. We do have cops come, because I know a few of them. And they'll sit there and everybody is on their best behavior. But let them leave, they don't stop, they don't, the courtesy is not there. Another problem I'm going to mention is that liquor store. Now, okay. He does the best he can, but I pick up bottles every day, so I do understand that. But there was a survey guy out there, and I guess the gentleman is trying to do something. I take pictures of the trucks that have to come and bring the beer or whatever they have to drink. There'll be 4 and 5 trucks out there. There was a day a cop was out there and told him he had to move. So what someone did was they painted a little bit more of the paint, the yellow. I'm gonna go get me some yellow paint. I'm gonna just paint the town yellow. And then they put up a loading section where they're supposed to load in front of his driveway. Okay, but I have literally pictures in my phone, 3 and 4 trucks. They stop in the middle of Layton Avenue. They don't pull over because there's too many trucks. Okay, and then people will stop and people gotta go around there. As we know, we all park on the street. I'm grateful for a driveway. But the traffic with the 4-way stop is getting horrendous. So if there's anybody who is thinking of going to the zoning board to see if he can open up a store or anything, because I'm hearing rumors, please consider the people that live there. It's becoming a nightmare. I hear beep, beep, beep at 7 a.m. in the morning. Okay, because the trucks are backing up and they're lined up waiting their turn. Okay, so along with that and the 4-way stop, Layton Avenue is becoming really, really dangerous. And the kids with the soccer ball is always in the street. So just be mindful that Layton Avenue is not as, it's a through, the Borough bus came down the other day. The New Jersey Transit bus comes down Layton Avenue and turns up West Bergen. So I call New Jersey Transit, because I'm one of those people. Okay, you know that, I will call them, call me Karen, but I'm gonna call. They told me, because I know they're supposed to go up to Shrewsbury Avenue and turn left. But when it's backed up, they come down Layton Avenue. And it's, you should see them trying to get down to turn up West Bergen Place, Dr. Park.
What they say when you call?
That's their route and they can do it, but I know it was wrong because I put the bus number down and everything. And when they sent it back, they gave me the wrong bus number. So I know they just sent me a letter saying they can use that route, but I know I've lived on that street almost 40, 50 years. Never seen New Jersey Transit bus come down that street. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
And we can follow up too on that transit.
Please.
Yeah, we'll follow up from the borough today. But just to comment, I hope that the improvements that we are considering for Layton will be helpful to what you're
She said
experiencing.
she doesn't even care about the color, she's happy about it.
I'm
Well, the speed bumps.
No, I'm talking the speed bumps.
I appreciate you following up, because if you don't follow with me, I'm gonna follow with you.
So ma'am, just going back to A1 Liquors.
Oh, yeah, oh.
We had complaints about the traffic there. We had photographs that a resident had sent in, the trucks were parking on the sidewalk and loading.
Yeah, they do, and like when the cops mentioned to the guy, because I was out there, it was 7:30 AM, because I have a dog, so she thinks she's supposed to go out. At that time, and he told that you have to move, he said, well, where do you want me to go? He said, you have to go around the corner, because you can't stay here.
Yeah.
But literally, he just stopped in the middle of Layton Avenue. He didn't pull over or anything, but he did not get a ticket.
So I called Short Point Distributing directly
Okay,
to complain,
okay,
and the guy gave me not a hard time, but it was kind of like resistant. And
yeah.
I said, what's your email? Let me send you some photographs I have while we're talking on the phone. And then he saw the photographs and he told.
Well, when you come, I got somebody to show you.
I'm sure.
But
That's my way.
I mean, I know he has to load and unload, I know he has a business, I don't stop anybody from having a business. But the fact that if he can time it differently, but it's every day. How much beer are they drinking? I mean, and you know, like, I'm out with my gravel every day because he did put a garbage can out there. Which was, because initially he didn't want to put a garbage can out there because he said he didn't want to be responsible for having anything else to put in it. So I do pick up, you know, the little, airplane bottle things that, you know, the little miniature.
Yeah, for
You know, lots of that on there, paper and stuff that blows, it's just, I know. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question, or we could? There, oh yeah, I see in the back, yes. I saw the hand first.
Good evening, my name is Adrian Bilal on South Pearl Street. You all know that South Pearl Street from New Springs to Bergen is a throughway right there. When the train comes, or either if there's a game or anything like that, well, every day, the traffic is backed all the way up to maybe Central Avenue from the light between the train and because of the traffic. I don't know if you have anything to do with the lights, but is it a possibility you could look into maybe having a turn signal to turn left? Because if you're sitting there trying to make a left to go down Maple Avenue, it takes you forever. And I think maybe it would help the traffic move a little quicker, because you can get stuck on either this side of Bergen or that side of Bergen and sit there for a long time trying to get across. And I think, you know, I was just saying, well, maybe we could do a turn signal to allow people to move. And then plus coming out of my street, Pearl Street, to try to make a left or right, you can't see what's going on because the traffic is so backed up there. So, and we have students who are driving down my street, go into the park that are doing over the speed limit. The radio is blasting, so it's not like I'm out there watching, I can hear it, you know? So, I would like maybe officer come around there, like when they get out of school, when they have practice or whatever down there, because they really need to slow down.
We've done some traffic enforcement details, those are like, not randomly, but they're daily.
Mhm.
And I think on some of the complaints where you give us a time frame after school, we'll have an officer sit in that area.
Yeah.
The violators are, you know, kids going to the park.
Yeah, but they're safe,
Wait for
they need to
traffic.
know.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
thank you.
all right, also, we had an inquiry about a right turn lane at the intersection of West Bergen and Maple Avenue.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not that wide, really,
It's actually, I went out and measured it, it's
Yeah.
18 feet wide. where
but
it's
some people are
required.
courteous because they know, so they'll stay to the left, so they'll
Yeah.
allow the people to turn
Yeah.
right, you know, but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, it's 18, it's about 18 feet, and I think 22 or 24 feet is required for 2 lanes.
Right.
And that's not gonna work, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we get Douglas to. move-
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But is it possible we can do a delayed green, so one side gets to go for a bit,
Yeah,
make their
that's-
turns, and then the
that's
other,
possible.
if it's not wide enough, maybe we can look into that.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
yeah, we're open, we'll contact them, see what we can do.
Oh, thank you.
Another update, actually, I just received today from, actually didn't get a chance to let the mayor and council know yet. But there was some complaints and we went out as well, myself, Sergeant Kovar, Terrence, to the train tracks there on Doctor's James. And the significant,
Conrail.
right, the Conrail tracks, what did I say?
Train track.
The, so that's operated by Chesapeake Railroad. However, NJDOT is the one that manages the crossings. Back to March, we had, March of last year, we've been going back and forth with them to see about fixing that crossing because of the significant amount of potholes that are on that approach. We did some outreach and we finally got an answer back today from NJDOT that they're looking to improve that crossing in August.
Cool.
I get to let you know.
Yay, yay. Yeah, finally.
Anyone else have a question? Yeah. Let me guess, speeding on Elm Street.
No, we know that.
All right.
Dave Johnson, 28 Elm Place. I know like along the neighborhoods, we've talked in the neighborhood, but I don't know if it's ever been brought to the council. The other side of Hudson has always been very good at like fighting for resident parking and all those different things. But we're starting to really see a pile up now as Azalea Gardens is about to come to fruition. And I think it's time to consider that shorter span that comes out of the east side lots. I've heard crazy things like make it a one-way. I don't know if that's really a good answer either. Maybe maybe consider like removing the parking. There's really like 5 cars or 6 cars. And all those people have parking behind their house. But anybody on that corner or street will tell you, you can't really, unless you're a local, most people are not passing. You're cutting in or it's a big, maintenance truck coming. It's really hard to get two-way traffic down that short span of Hudson between the east side lots and Harding. And, as Azalea Gardens start to come to completion, we're gonna be adding a lot more people and a lot more cars. So I think it's something to really consider now, so we can set an objective for when those people move in, so we have a good traffic flow. So, that's it. Thank you.
Take a look, good. Yes, all right, where you hurry?
How's everyone?
Yeah.
Good. Hi, I'm Alicia Wilkerson, 107 River Street, Red Bank. And I have a question about Public Works as to when, is there specific days when they come and sweep, or there's specific days when they come and pick up the tree limbs, or
Which street are you on?
River Street?
River Street, so you're gonna be in zone 5, so that's gonna be on Fridays. for the
Every
first-
Friday?
It's the second full week of the month,
Okay.
of every month. for
Okay.
brush collection.
All right, now what about the, I know my problem is when they pick up, when you go to pick up, there's always cars there. Always, and it never gets picked up. So River Street is having a problem now with parking. Big time parking, sometimes you have one house, maybe 5 cars. And they're all on the street. And the other thing is, with the water, like the drains,
It's a drain.
you have the one on the corner, which she was talking about. And I don't know how often it gets cleaned out, but there's another one on 105.
Yes,
That's right next to my driveway.
I know.
That one hardly ever gets touched.
Okay.
Now, it's a little concerning because my driveway's right there, the water backs up. So that's a big problem to me. And I'm not mad at you now, but I was mad at you this winter. Because I called,
I didn't even know.
I called the week before the last pickup
Okay,
for the leaves.
uh-huh,
Nobody came until March.
oh,
So
wow,
those leaves were out there and it was a mess. I would do out my driveway and they would just go right back. You know, does the borough still have a calendar?
yes, yes,
Okay, can you please get me one?
yes, I will, I will make sure I will bring one to you, what's your address again?
107 River Street
7 River Street,
with the plants.
yes, oh, I know where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you give her your copy?
Yes, I actually drew, but,
Okay. We'll drop one off to it, or else.
the correct one, yes, it is.
It's actually been on
Yeah.
our website, so.
We got another-
The DPW on their tab on our website,
Okay.
it'll show you the zones as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
And actually, I actually brought, the zoning list, I was gonna talk about the brush collection. Yes. You, or no, you, okay. Yes.
Hi, I'm Amy Goldsmith. I live at 16 Locust Avenue. Since we're all talking about pedestrian safety, I'll keep on that path. I do also not like the brush and all that stuff in the street. I work for Clean Water Action and work on stormwater and other issues. And so I'm glad to see that you're gonna get on that a little bit more. But in terms of pedestrian safety, living on Locust Avenue at the corner of Shrewsbury, it is, it's take your life into your hands to get across the street, to get across Shrewsbury. When my kids were small, I would hold them tight and we would just go, run! And we'd run across Shrewsbury Avenue. I am petrified for the crossing guard who is at that corner. She's wonderful and diligent, and she kind of goes like this and puts, stop. She does it for, the kids, but she also does it for the adults who try and get across, but that is really treacherous to get across and, go down Chestnut. So it's really great that all the other stuff is being done, but that is really, it is a county road, I get it, but we need something there. Whether it's more blinking lights, I know you have them down by the senior center, but maybe there's another set of blinking lights there. And then the other is, when you're at that intersection where the train station is and you got Monmouth and Bridge and you have all those lights and it's really confusing and you get basically, don't walk in every direction, but yet nobody's moving. It's very confusing for pedestrians. And at some point you just kind of go, I'm gonna go because nobody's going anywhere. And it's very confusing intersection there. And if there was some way to kind of make the pedestrian lights work a little differently, or maybe be in better sync with when there is no traffic moving or something. It would be better than just kind of taking your life into your hands. Sometimes I go across and it's great. And then sometimes I'm in the middle of the street thinking, oh, it's not gonna change, and suddenly it changes,
We
so.
can certainly take a look at that. I know
Yeah.
that intersection is tricky with the timing of the
Yeah.
lights too.
Yeah.
New Jersey Transit has been having a lot of issues over there, but something I can certainly
Yeah.
take a look at.
So is there anything that's being thought of for the intersection of Locust and Chestnut and Shrewsbury? Or is it just like,
Locust?
yeah,
Any of those offset intersections are just, I don't know why they're ever I don't know why they were made that way. I mean, like Bridge and Bergen's the same way. Anything that offset becomes tricky. As far as, you know, the crossing guards goes too, I know we talked about, we don't really want kids, we never really wanted kids to cross Shrewsbury Avenue. There was a bus, right, there, excuse me, from the other side of the train tracks, they were
Right.
bus. And I know, I think there was talk of removing those crossing guards, right, going back to busing, there was a busing shortage, I think, post-COVID.
Yeah.
So,
So we had a few crossing guards
right.
at some point
Yeah.
to assist, and then now the school is changing, possibly going back to more buses.
Alright.
yeah, but as far as other improvements, I know Shrewsbury Avenue is on a list for improvements at some point.
It's very tough there because you have parking on both sides of Shrewsbury Avenue,
Yeah.
which narrows the lanes down a little bit. It's not technically a view obstruction, but you know, it's tough getting out, you gotta slow down.
Right, and they're moving pretty fast, you know, they don't always stop, and we take a step out hoping that maybe somebody will stop, but they don't always do that, so, anyway.
I'd like to comment, as I served on the board at the time, Board of Education, we unfortunately had to eliminate, one of the bus routes because of the shortage of drivers and and it was done reluctantly. Hopefully they've managed to fix that.
But you said someone was on the line, Jim?
Yeah.
Hi, should I speak?
Hold on one second, let me see if I can raise the volume here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, it's Barbara Monahan, 30 Pinckney Road. I'm just adding to the Shrewsbury Avenue traffic comment that I had the nerve to have to make a left on Shrewsbury Avenue and the people fly by on the right. And I had to close my eyes. I'm thinking they're about to crash into the parked cars on the right and pedestrians who might be in the crosswalk. They need their own traffic control department dedicated to that street because the people are just right out of their minds going down that road. And was 9:30, not even rush hour. I don't know what goes on over there, but definitely needs a look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any, yes?
I'm Mary Forte, and I'm the crossing guard on Lucas and.
Yeah.
I need a light. Something has to be done. It's really, really bad. They act like they can't read the stop sign.
Yeah.
And then I had, like today, someone yell out at me, "Get out of traffic cop," you know, and she.
Oh,
So it's
poor
bad.
Mary.
It's really bad. There have been times that I've had to step in front of my kids where they would have been hit. And the buses wait for me to stop so they can come out because they don't acknowledge the buses. And the kids are on the bus. Something other than a crossing guard has to be done about that stop. It's my beef.
Send the videos to the county. Well, like I said, ideally that was never intended to be a spot for kids to cross, so, like I said, hopefully we can get back to the busing and.
And then we,
eliminate that
we'd be eliminating that if we got back to busing, okay.
Great, but
We don't wanna put you out of a
No,
job.
we'll find another post for you, don't worry.
Worried about the kids, I'm not worried about me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about you and the kids.
Thank you for your service.
Anyone else? I see a hand in the back. Yes.
Next week, have to go.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed, yeah, go ahead, go first, ma'am, hold on one second, yeah. There you go, I didn't see that one, sorry.
Hi, my name is Borough and I live on West Street. And we talked before about the mail trucks and nothing was done. There's a lot of mail trucks on my street and nobody can park. And I do have a lot of cars coming at me, they're speeding also down my street at this highway.
We did speak to Tubby's after the last.
They didn't do a darn thing about it. And they got
We'll
a
be there
big
tomorrow.
parking lot in the back and they can park the mail trucks. in
We'll
the
be there
back.
tomorrow to let them know. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Gill. I live at 28 Riverside, which is really Route 35. And the pedestrian situation there is horrifying. And the noise and the traffic and the invisible speed limit sign that's behind the tree. The beautiful trees that Ocean Curves has lined that spot with, and I do appreciate that. And I know it's a state highway, but I'm wondering, what can we do to, especially given the fact that more residential housing is being built in that area, the north side of Redmond, every day, to petition the state something to make it safer to walk in that area.
Yeah, we tried to hit Jimmy.
So with, you're talking about with the Saxon project that's going on, right? So with that project, we have a application to the state, which is moving forward for a traffic signal across, right at Bodmin there in Birovino, which would also incorporate a crosswalk and other improvements to that area.
But didn't we, right when you first are turning on, right when you passed Ocean First Bank and you first swinging around the curve there past the library, I thought we spoke with the state and they were like, we're not putting a crosswalk.
Right there at the Veterans Park.
We did, right? Did we have that?
I don't know specifically, I wasn't involved in that, but I thought that the state turned us down.
Yeah.
Because of the sharp turn on 35, it's a view obstruction by the time a car gets up there and somebody's gonna crosswalk, it's great.
Right, and I understand the pent up frustration of drivers, particularly because Broad Street is closed and the traffic is backed up on Maple, it's backed up on Front Street. But it's crazy. And I trying to pull into my garage, feel as though if I'm gonna die anywhere in a car, it's going to be pulling into that garage, even if I'm on the right side of the road. Maybe a shoulder, anything. I mean, if there's some kind of Red Bank, I think you'd like it to be a pedestrian friendly place and you want to slow the cars down. And it will bring more foot traffic in if people are not afraid to walk. And that triangle is really kind of an eyesore with the weeds and the rusting cannon and everything else. I would love to see it made into something that is welcoming to the town. And maybe through some kind of collaborative effort with changing the crosswalk situation, even putting in one of those, the bridge. I mean, I know that's a big deal, but you have to start somewhere. So, and I've lived in Monmouth County most of my life and shopped in Red Bank since I was a kid. And I would love to see it flourish. So, anyway.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Well, I gotta jump on that one because I'm your neighbor, I live down the street, so I walk and bike that same corridor every day. Nearly. The one thing I'll say, I agree with you, and I think the vision is the same to make that very safe and welcoming. It's really in our master plan, we identified that as a gateway into the whole town, right? So I agree, we want it to be green, safe, pedestrian, bike friendly. We actually recently submitted a grant, it's competitive, so we don't know. But with the federal DOT that's administered by the North Jersey Transportation Association. For that exact corridor from the bridge Rector all the way to Front Street. For exactly those kinds of things, pedestrian, bike improvements, green and complete streets. So we don't know if we'll get that, but absolutely, that's because it is that state road, it's hard to kind of assert our vision for it. But that is one way, if we can collaborate, if DOT approves, and there's funding attached, that would be a good start.
Okay, terrific, Bob. Please let me know if there's anything that I can do as a resident to appreciate it.
Yeah, there may even be an opportunity for letters of support.
Sure,
with that-
yeah,
with that.
petitions, whatever is the best avenue, I'm happy to get on it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Or why do you want to give some department reports and then we can, maybe that'll trigger some more questions?
Yeah.
All right.
Anybody chomping at the bit to start?
Yeah, I'll get my.
Chief Crazy?
Good evening, I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight, actually a great turnout. I think it's important to keep the lines of communications open between all departments, especially mine. I'd like to hear complaints. I don't want to hear too many complaints, but, you know, always open to listening to everyone and, you know, I think it's a great way for us to kind of work together. You know, we can learn what you guys would like to see from us, what your issues, concerns are, safety issues, let us know. You know, I'm always here for that. Before I get started, I really want to just thank the community for supporting me as the new chief since I came in October. As well as the officers. I think it's much appreciated and, you know, something that we really need. You know, these community meetings are really good. I think, like I said, it's a good interactive ability for us to learn what you guys, you know, you guys are on the street all the time, live in these neighborhoods. You need to come to us and tell us what your concerns and issues are. You know, sometimes we just drive by, we miss a few things. So like I said, these community meetings are really, you know, they're good, they're informative for us and they're informative for you guys.
And just to add to that, when I get a call from a resident, they're having an issue. And I let the chief know, I mean, he's showing up at their house within, you know, 10, 15 minutes. So please call if you. The hardest thing is so many of these interactions happen really quickly, right? Like the liquor truck pulls up. They're there for 10 minutes or whatever. So if you see them and they're there, we got to get down there quick. So please don't hesitate to call. I just gave that example because it was, you know, it's a current one.
If the trucks are there, call.
Yeah.
Don't text the mayor, don't text the borough manager, call the police department. That's the fastest way to get a response from us.
I'm pretty quick too. You can text me.
I call him right away, so.
Yeah, he does. Saturday, Sunday, Friday. You take care of it. So, it's all good. What's up? Oh, the main number, either, obviously, if it's an emergency, call 911. If not, call the main police phone number, 732-530-2700. You know, as I move on here, I'm just gonna talk about some statistical information from the department. Currently, our officers have responded to approximately 8,400 calls for service as of today for this year. We've investigated over 372 motor vehicle crashes. I think from last year, total last year, we investigated 817 motor vehicle accidents in a mile square count. That's a lot. That's a lot. And most were probably for driver inattention, so can't really pay attention, exactly. So far this year, we've issued a total of 7,125 summonses. Of those, 1,876, almost 1,900, have been for moving violations, speeding, reckless driving, careless driving. So we're out there enforcing. In 2024, we issued approximately 16,800 summonses in total. That's parking and moving violations. So I think this year, just from the patrol side, I mean, our parking authority, Mr. Wolf will talk about his guys, but they do a great job. But patrol wise, our guys are out there writing parking tickets, unlike some of the rumors you may hear that our guys can't write parking tickets or don't want to write parking tickets. But patrol wise this year, I think so far we've written 800 tickets or somewhere around there. Those are not metered tickets either. Parking tickets, we've responded to over 600 first aid calls. You know, these are all time consuming issues. I mean, listen, we're here, we're first responders, we love our jobs, but, you know, if we go to a first aid call, we could be there half hour, assisting in first aid, whether the patient gets to the hospital. So all these little things kind of add up manpower hours and take us sometimes from enforcement details and stuff like that. But we are out here. Overall, I'm pleased to say crime is down, which everybody likes to hear. I think it's important. To know about our town. We're very unique and not like any other town around us or surrounding town around us. We're a small city. You know, we have a train and sorry. Yeah, we're a small city, but we have a state highway that runs through. We have a busy county road that runs through here. This is a cut through to the parkway. We have a hospital. We have a train and bus hub. Like, we're a busy town. and I just want to reassure you guys, like, our officers are here to protect you and to make our community safe. And, you know, if you have any issues with our officers or complaints, make sure you call, send an email, go onto the Borough website, send us a complaint, and we will follow through with it. I'll talk real quick about some initiatives. I know the other departments heads are chomping at the bit, that's all. We're bringing back our bicycle patrol, actually starting tomorrow. We had an issue, finally we were able to get 4 officers trained at the Monmouth County Police Academy on proper bicycle patrolling techniques. So they'll be out enforcing borough violations, quality of life issues, and hopefully address the e-bike violations that we're seeing, that everybody's seeing or encountering across the borough. As well with that, we have, we hired 4 or 5 Sleo ones to help patrol our parks. Yep, these are summer help officers that are seasonal. They'll be in the parks downtown. They can also issue summonses for different violations as well. We're in the process of hiring a class 2. Class 2 is not a full-time police officer, but they're gonna assist with traffic violations and complement our traffic safety unit. You know, I just want to talk also about another program that we have in our school system. Patrolman Albert is our SRO. During the course of the year, he brings in the Easy Ride company to talk to the kids about proper bicycle safety and, you know, how to ride a bike as well as pedestrian safety, how to cross the intersection, look both ways, you know, hold your parents' hands, stay with somebody. So I think that's an important initiative as well. You know, you have that in the schools, and that's something that we're going to maintain every year now. Probably moving forward into the summertime, I'm looking to do another fraud and scam presentation with our detectives. We did it one other time here. I think we had a great turnout, especially I'm sure everybody's getting the scams on their cell phones saying that motor vehicles coming after them or whatever, your license is suspended, you gotta send them money. I just got one the other day. It's a little annoying, and, you know, if somebody's calling you or sending you, asking you on the phone for money, it's a scam. Don't do it. But I'm trying to get a program probably for this summer. So we can, probably in the evening, we're gonna reach out to more residents. We did it during the daytime at the senior center, and it was more geared towards senior fraud and stuff like that. But I'm gonna, with me is actually Captain Bobby Clayton. He's in charge of he's the commander of our patrol division. So if anybody has issues with the patrol division, you can stop in and see him, email him, call him on the phone. Sergeant Kovar is gonna touch base on a couple grants that we have that we're working throughout the year, as well as the pedestrian detail that we conducted about a month or so ago.
Yeah, so, grants we got this year, one was for distracted driver, that was just for the month of April. We issued about 24 summonses, and that, I think there were 35 stops overall. The pedestrian safety grant that we have is running from October of last year through September 30th of this year. We have officers doing solo shifts, so they'll be out, you know, sometimes for about 4 hours, they dedicate to targeting pedestrian crossing violations at the locations where we have the most pedestrian related accidents. We did a pedestrian decoy detail, that's where we use an officer to cross the street. We did that on May 20th at Brough and Leroy by the post office, and then we moved over to Shrewsbury and Catherine. 21 summonses were issued for that. And the decoy officer said, you know, he's starting to see that more cars are stopping than they have in years past, I'll say. So hopefully it's, you know, something people are becoming more aware of. Crashes are up still across the state, I believe, but we also ordered, I don't know if you guys have seen them around town, but we had the Street Smart New Jersey campaign signs, posters put up. We ordered about 200 of those. We deployed almost all of them, hanging on to a couple for ones that get, you know, damaged or destroyed. But yeah, so hopefully, you know, bring more enforcement, I'm sorry, more education to the drivers that are coming through town here. That's all.
Great. We're good.
We jump over Tom, our Director of Finance, our Chief Finance Officer.
Thank you. I'm in charge of the finance department, and mostly in our finance department, we cover tax collection, which is including the water and sewer collection. Purchasing is a big part of our department. We maintain all financial records for the borough, and which are audited by our auditor every year. One of the biggest things we do is the budget. We did a budget presentation this year. We had an ad hoc finance committee with the borough manager compiled the budget with input from all the departments. We came up with a very reasonable budget with a 2% increase. We have no control over what happens with the schools, which sometimes can increase more than the 2%, that they might have a cap or they might have leeway to increase more, but we have no control over that. The average value of a home this year was about $600,000. And the town increased in value by 9.5%. So it's hard to say your taxes are going up depending on if your assessment changes within that parameter of 9.5. If it's less, your taxes can be flat or less of an increase. Also, we have a capital program that we put in our budget. We budget for the down payment. We reflect grants. We have, as Jim showed, we're working on the lead service project. We have improvements to other parks besides Marine Park, which we have an ordinance in place for Marine Park. We have improvements to the municipal building. We have different projects there. We have another big project coming up, and we're planning for the DPW or the DPU facility, which will be a very nice project that's been talked about for years. Otherwise, we're doing pretty well in the finance area. Appreciate the cooperation from all the departments. They're very good at collecting their revenues, and we're meeting our anticipated amounts. Thank you.
Let me hop over. Yeah.
I'm just thinking your name, sir.
My name is Tom Seaman.
Tom Seaman?
Yes, if you ever have any questions or anything, you can always call
Okay.
finance department. I'd be happy to answer any questions at any time. I can go over what we do in our budget. Our budget's posted on the website. We have a budget presentation that's posted. Adriana has posted everything on the website for that. I think even the presentation itself, I think was posted on the website. So please don't hesitate to call with any questions. We're happy to answer your questions.
Thank you.
And Tom's office can always get you in touch to the tax collector and the tax assessor as well.
Yes.
Terrence, if you don't mind. Terrence, Wallner, Director of Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Terrence Wall. I'm the Public Works Director. Thank you for coming. It's an honor to be here. I just want to share that I am a lifelong resident of this town. I went to all the public schools. I'm from this community, and it is an honor to work for a town that you actually grew up in, and you can see the differences of what it was like when you grew up versus what you're doing now. So I just want to make sure that I share that with everyone. Second, I'd like to say that public works, I've learned a long time ago, is the men and women behind the scenes that are in the streets, they're in the trenches, and they're doing the work that our elected officials and our borough manager have us out to do. So we're a small group of employees, and we range from park maintenance, building maintenance, street sweeper, water and sewer. We do a variety of different jobs around town. So I would encourage everybody, if you have any issues, please contact our office at 732-530-2770.
Repeat that, please.
Phone number of 732-530-2770. I just want, just the main line, yeah. Yep. I just want to share that, like the borough manager said, we have a lot of special projects going around town. The installation of bike racks, we're doing some crosswalk painting, we're doing curb and street painting. I know I worked with Sergeant Over to address a lot of street markings that need to be repainted. We have the plastic film, which we do. The first Wednesday of every month, And I will encourage everybody, I know, we get a lot of phone calls of missed addresses that haven't been picked up. I would encourage you to continue to call in and let us know if we missed your address. I do want to talk about the volume of calls we get is about brush collection. I know there's a confusion as to when we pick up brush. For years, our brush collection has not been the best. So when I became the director, I started noticing these things and we started making some changes to kind of improve what we're doing. I know the website is a little tricky for some, but we're picking up this, every month, the second full week of the month. So like, for instance, I'm sorry, I forgot her name, on River Street, you're in zone 5, so you would be on Friday. So if you go on our borough website, you'll see the website and you can click on, and then a map pulls up of your address.
Okay.
And then what you would be able to do is that you would be able to navigate through the website and, I'm sorry?
I got it.
Okay, and what you could do is each address is in a zone. So if you are picked up on a Monday, you're in that zone 1. If you're in zone 2, you're picked up on Tuesday. Zone 3 is Wednesday, zone 4 is Thursday, and zone 5 is Friday.
This is for brush, you saying?
This is for brush, and it would be the same schedule for leaf collection as well, which would be from November to December. And the brush collection is from April to October. I also want to share that if you have any pothole concerns, please report those, especially the ones on the county roads, because we'll be getting a large number of calls for county roads. We can reach out to the county and let them know that these are the areas that need to be filled in. And if you see a pothole on any residential street, please call our office and let us know so that we can address that.
Karen,
Yes,
pardon, I think some of the confusion also is when you could put your stuff out.
Yes.
For you.
yes, thank you, Tom.
Here you go.
Oh. So also, thank you for, because I wanted to talk about that too. So the confusion with the brush collection is that we're trying to improve the operations. You can only put your brush out 7 days prior to your collection date. So what we're seeing is that we go out, the schedule for the collection is picked up, and then people are putting their brush out, and it's just sitting there, it's just sitting there, it's just sitting there. So what we're doing now is that once we go out and pick up your brush, we're gonna go through the route, the sweeper is gonna come behind us, is gonna sweep the street after the brush and leaves have been collected. The other trick is we need to work with the police to maybe have some cars removed, even with the street sweeper, maybe do some alternate side of the street parking where we're gonna go down the road, we're gonna do some sweeping, we're gonna do the clearing of the brush. Does anybody have any questions about the brush collection?
I was gonna say, well, the cars be parked, so how you gonna get around that?
Well, that's,
Yeah, we talked briefly about possibly posting, like one side of the street, a couple streets at a time. Sweeper would come by, clean it up, and then the following day or a couple days later, we'll post the other side of the street. Can't inconvenience everyone. You know, can't get all the cars off the street at one time, but you know, if we did all the alternate side of the street postings.
How are you gonna educate those that are not from town? There's so many.
so I'm gonna work with Adriana, our community coordinator, and we're gonna just start putting out on social media, just kind of keep updating the residents and letting everybody know what's happening, when we're gonna collect. That was a discussion I had today, that as we're out there, we need to start letting the public know that we're coming. Please remove your cars, and don't put the piles in between the cars, because a lot of times the piles get missed because they're in between the cars. So if there's something that we're not doing, or you're seeing that we need to do, that's why I'm encouraging you, please call, let us know so that we can improve the operations the next time around. And Another thing that a big concern is shade tree. I know the shade tree is not here. We do a lot of the maintenance of the trees, the tree removal. I know there's a lot of issues that are out there concerning that. I would encourage you to call, report anything. I was on Bank Street, dealing with a resident on Bank Street with a tree root in his sidewalk. So if that's a concern, my email address is twalton@redbanknj.org, and send that request over to us. Another concern that I thought was important is we're in our busy season for parks maintenance. We take a lot of pride in our parks. We have a dedicated crew that's out. I'm working with the Parks and Rec Director, Oscar. And one of the main concern was the slide at Eastside Park. That was a big concern. The slide is fixed. And so any concern, just reach out and just let us know. Yeah.
Tommy, I'm gonna jump down to you because I need two time constraints here.
Pardon me?
It's not you.
Oh, I'm Tommy Welsh, the fire marshal, and not too much to go on that. A lot of it was with commercial inspections, but we're up a lot more this year than we have been in the past 10 years regarding getting inspections that have had some help over the past 2 years. So you'll see us more in a lot of commercial buildings that we haven't been able to get into in 5 or 6 years. The way our ordinance reads, they're supposed to be done every year. We changed that for 3 years. It was impossible to do. The state has priority inspections, which are called life hazard uses, which we were always able to get to, maybe 220 of them. But now with the help that I have, excuse me, last couple of years, we've been able to get into a lot of those. Then Red Bank, the fire official, is also in charge of code enforcement and property maintenance. So it's a little more of a headache of anything else I do. And to bounce off of Terrence. So were you talking about landscapers knowing about the brush rules? Because that is a problem that we do have with landscapers who will come in and they'll throw their stuff out. And ultimately, we can't get a landscaper a notice. My office is the one that issues notices for the enforcement of that. If you see a landscaper and you see them put it out there, by all means, call code enforcement. Or go on the internet and our tab on there, report concern. And wouldn't mind having numbers, whatever on the truck, you want to send a picture. Ultimately, if you get the address, then we can go to school. The people on that. Years ago, the borough talked about putting, permits for the landscapers, which is, maybe a good opportunity to think about that again, because you're seeing more of them. And that way they have to submit a customer list to us. So that way we know who they're working for. And so the parents and the guys go out there and we know that there's an enforcement issue, we know right who to go to. As far as fire prevention and education, we do that. We've unfortunately had a ton of it since COVID. But we're getting back into it. We always maintain with the schools. I do a program here for seniors once a year, sometimes twice a year. Coming into October, November, December, we're offering for multiple dwelling, high rise residents. We used to be able to do that. And over the years, we just haven't had resources to do it. But I'm going to try to get that to be a regular thing before I leave. So that's one of our initiatives. Other than that, I just really like people to understand when you go to Food Town or anywhere else you see these fireworks, we don't like them at all. Besides the fact that they're expensive and they're stupid, they're dangerous. You might not think that they're that dangerous because they don't go out, they don't do this. So believe it or not, some of the most dangerous ones are those smart kids. Everybody needs to have those. And they wind up on kids' skin, they wind up in a garbage can, they wind up on a piece of outside furniture, they wind up in mulch. So by all means, use as much caution as you can. I just the permit for Food Town, and I have to go back there tomorrow, because some of the newer stuff that keeps coming in, they keep making, which is legal in New Jersey, it's crazy. So the only thing I would ask is that, you know, if you're going to use it, you know people that are using it, be cautious. Just because they don't go up in the air doesn't mean that they can't start a fire, ground fire, that. And most of them, especially now, we have a mulch law for commercial building. And we've known this from Red Bank for years that we hate mulch, especially up against homes, single family homes. You can't regulate single family homes. We have no jurisdiction on single family home. Mulch fires burn down a lot of homes in Monmouth County, New Jersey, and throughout. And what happens is the mulch can either spontaneously combust, it could have a cigarette in it the day before, and then it starts to get up, you get enough heat. Anybody that's vinyl siding on their homes, vinyl siding burns like gasoline. So once that takes off, now you're compromising windows and it's going to your home. So a couple of things, keep the mulch as far away from your, up against your house as you can. You know, be super careful if you're going to use these pyrotechnic legal ones. And everybody knows what illegal are. If it wakes you up and moves you out of your chair, okay, it's illegal. Okay, and if it lights the sky, it's illegal. Call the police. Now, a lot of times there's not much they're gonna do, because by the time they get there, everybody's scattered. But at the very least, if I can get an address, if you know where these are coming from, the only thing that I can do, so again, we have no jurisdiction, you know, owner occupied, but if it's a rental, we have jurisdiction. And I'll take that into the tenant and go after the landlords as well. It's gonna be a problem, it's coming up into the month. 2 years ago, it was so bad that, you know, with fireworks over here that people thought were here in Red Bank, you know, across the river here, smoke would come down. But again, we're in that season, so I just asked everybody to, you know, be careful and keep an eye out. Once I get my act together and we get our Facebook page a little bit, or our borough page a little bit better, we'll start putting out there the pub ed that I do for all different crowds, different folks. So keep your eyes open, it's always good to come out and learn a little something, help us out.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Also, Tommy's being a little modest too. He's our Director of Emergency Management as well for the
6 more months.
So. Make sure that counts. I got 6 months to convince him.
Yeah.
Let's just move down the line and we'll keep it moving too, as we're at 7:30 here. Yes, sir.
Very good.
Tony Nyberg, everybody.
Good evening. My name is Tony Nyberg. I was a little concerned when Mr. Gant asked me to come here, being the oldest borough employee, he said, come to the senior center. I had no.
It's your intervention.
Very comfortable about doing that. My department, as you probably know, are the ones that do the inspection of your home, you take out permits. And it is a cumbersome situation taking out permits. But anytime that you have a problem, please feel free to give our office a call. We change our codes every 3 years. And unfortunately, we try to keep up with it, but then it involves the training of our inspectors. Recently, we added a brand new program that will assist us to help you with getting your inspections and doing them properly. We've also added additional inspectors on so that we can get to your homes. The other thing that we did, or I put an emphasis on, and you know, any place that you go in the state of New Jersey, you mentioned Red Bank, what's the first thing they think about? They think about, oh, what great restaurant, what businesses are there? You know, people talk about that. So I try to put an emphasis on our businesses. There was some concern with our business people that I heard about, that how do you take a permit out? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? And it was falling by the wayside. So what I try to do is get over to those people to keep that asset of Red Bank going so that they know exactly what to do and do it safely. As we say about the firefighters, you know, thank a firefighter once the fire is put out, thank an inspector for the fire never happened. So, you know, we're doing the best we can with our safety, and anytime you have any questions, please feel free to give us.
Thanks, Tony. Also, what the construction department just put together recently is a trifold of how to get through the department process, a good flow chart to assist residents.
It's on your side, yeah.
Commercial business owners.
And anecdotally, I'd like to report that when I talk to people out of town who talk about Red Bank. And they talk about, doing construction work, they say that the Red Bank inspectors are very strict. And we do it for our safety, so thank you.
Very good. I've always said through my tenure of doing this 30, 40 years, that if somebody likes you as an inspector, you're not doing your job. So.
Moving to Adriana, who's our community engagement coordinator.
Hi, I don't know if I need the mic, but this department is fairly new, so there's. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that. It is, for those who don't know, it's community engagement department and it is a bit of a hybrid. Because we do a lot of different collaboration with the departments to promote engagement, participation and communication. I'm really excited and I'm proud of what we've accomplished so far. I've only been here since September, but we've been working on multiple things at the same time. And I say we, although I'm a department of one, because it does take the community and the borough departments, to accomplish everything that we're doing. We have the website, socials, really the presence at events, at community events. So you'll see me tabling one day and then another day, in a committee meeting for Juneteenth or for Pride. So we're, juggling a lot of things, but, our mission is really to connect with our residents, our visitors, and see where, we can fill gaps and try to bridge communication between our borough and, the needs of our residents. And how we can do that, whether it's through an event that we may need, to whether it's going to mayor's wellness campaign meeting and bringing ideas about an event, a micro event at the senior center or a major event at one of our parks. So that, there's an array of things that I'm working on, but one of the biggest things that I want to work on, and I'll echo what Chief Brady said, although I don't particularly like a lot of complaints, I welcome feedback. It is how we know where we need to work on with our communication. So we worked on the website and the website is a living thing. It is maintained every day. And so that it's ever changing. We're going department by department to make sure that we have the information in their page that the residents need. And so you'll see some changes here and there, but if there's something that isn't working, I welcome you to file a report online. You can scan a QR code. Please, I encourage you to stop by our table. And those QR codes will take you to the page, whether it's to sign up for our alerts, and you don't have to sign up for every alert. But you can choose which alert, whether it's you want to be informed about community events, or you want to just know about a commission or one of our boards, or whether you want just the traffic alerts. You can choose and curate your alerts by signing up. And then there's a report QR code. So if there's anything you want to report, you can scan that and file a report, choose the department that you want the report to go to. And it'll go straight to them, that whatever it is that the feedback is. We are also continuously working on doing forms and surveys to try to engage residents into giving us their perspective about things that are going around town. On social media, we try to give you an inside look about the everyday of the town. So you'll see pictures and flyers of things that are upcoming and things that we're working on. Oh, yeah, and we're, yeah. So, yeah, we are strengthening our communication efforts with our Spanish speaking community. So we are putting everything out bilingually, or we're trying to, and we continue to work on that, whether it's on print or on the website, and also curating events or hosting events that are of interest for our Spanish speaking neighbors. So you'll see a couple of things that had already been happening in Red Bank, but are now happening also for our neighbors and creating access. So we were really trying to make space, and again, I say we, because it takes the community and it takes this department to make it all happen. The committees for Juneteenth, Hispanic Heritage, Pride, they have volunteers from the community. So again, if it wasn't for my committees and the support that I'm getting through them, the events can't be what they are. So, I'm really happy that, we get volunteers and that even now we're seeing an increase in sponsorships. And that's because again, we're on the other end, we're working on platforms that can engage. Started our See My Legacy platform. You can have access to our website. It has its own page. If you go on the main page of our website and you hit the graphic that says how I participate, or you can go there and you can see the different forms you can participate, whether it's coming to a committee meeting or going to See My Legacy and seeing which events you can either perform at, you volunteer at, or just get information or sponsor. See My Legacy is a platform that we selected because of the ease of use. It's very user friendly. It is just a matter of making sure that we get the word out, and we're doing that slowly. And that was intentional because we had just launched the new website and the new look, and we did not want to put out too much too soon, but slowly we are getting feedback on how the See My Legacy app is working, and the sponsors were very happy of just how easy it was for them to register. Same thing with our volunteers and our performers for some of the events that found it easy to use. So that was one of the things we're working on. We're working on a chatbot, and again, that will go in alignment with the website, and once all the information that we want on the website comes, something that the chatbot will then be trained on giving, that we can log in and just put in a question on the main page and get the answer. So that's all ongoing. Everything's happening all at the same time. But if you have any questions, we do have our email on all of our community engagement printouts. The table does have DPU bulletin now, and so you can stop by. I really encourage you to get, there's a directory with phone numbers, that way you can have them, and we have our end of year report that has a little bit more of what we did last year, and Mary did a great job with that. So I encourage you to all take that home and see that what kind of plays up too. So
Thank you. And I think we just have two more and we're out of time. Bill Wilk is our director of our parking authority.
I'll make it quick.
Bill's good at revenue.
Give us the numbers, Bill.
We're located at 42 West Front Street, great place to work at. With myself, my parking foreman, and my administrative assistant are both great. My parking foreman has been following around the Mama Street job, trying to put the meters back as quickly as possible. But they have to wait for the construction guys to approve that. That's how we're doing that. Our revenue is pretty good, and it's sustained pace with last year so far, and you never know. And we're bringing on, with the help of Mr. Gann, and I appreciate it, is a night shift parking, because the nighttime is very important here, till 9 o'clock. And we work from 1 to 9, Monday through Friday. So we'll have somebody always here, as we maintain these meters, about 1,100 meters and 20 pay stations, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. So it's not an easy job, and we do most walking and stuff, so. And we also work with the police department and Sergeant Kovar, who has been tremendous help with us, because she hires the parking officer / SLEO one to work with us, and they get some experience from us, and hopefully we'll move on to something bigger and better. But without her, I wouldn't have them, so I really do appreciate the police department helping us out, because they all work in our building, all of the parking officers / SLEOs.
Thank you, Bill. And last but not least, Oscar Salinas from Recreation. There you go.
Thanks, Jim. I'm the First and Rec Director, Oscar Salinas. I'd like to start off with the summer lineups. No fireworks coming.
No fireworks.
Our movies in the park, first movie will be shown on July 8th, all the way to August 12th, except on August 5th, which is the police department's national night out, correct?
Yeah. the
Things like that,
Tuesday.
first Tuesday, yeah. So we not gonna do a movie that night. The fitness in the park in collaboration with the Red Band YMCA that starts on July 2nd and it goes through August 27th. That's at Wednesdays at 6. Jazz in the park, we have 2 locations for our jazz concerts. Thursdays at Riverside Gardens, July 8th to August 14th, and the Westside Jazz concerts, also known as the Red Band Count Basie 365. That's on Sundays at 3, and it's August 3rd to the 14th at Johnny Jazz Park. The last concert will be in memory of William Count Basie. We also added a youth rock and roll concert. That's on Friday, July 8th, also at Riverside Gardens. For our sports, we have open registrations for summer camps, sports, and multi-sports. We also have a summer league, basketball for youth, and our full soccer recreation league is also open. A few new programs that we're gonna be adding, there is a Celebrate Your Garden or Flowers program. That's an initiative by the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. We're still working on the dates, but we're gonna announce them soon. And a few other programs that we're looking to run here at this building. It's Zumba and Tai Chi classes, as well as line dancing classes, recommended by our council member, Blackwood. And one program that I would like to mention is our summer employment program. We work with the New Jersey Workforce Development, in which they allow us to hire all our summer youth to work as camp counselors. And we were able to get up to 17 youths this summer, which is, they covered all that for us, which is great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think about half of them are Red Bank residents too, right?
Correct, yes.
So that's it from our department. So I'm thankful that we had that opportunity to kind of share where we are with a lot of, 30,000-foot view, highlights from the departments. As you can see, there's a tremendous amount of work that's going on in the borough right now. A lot of projects in place, a lot of everyday things that we're doing, keeping the wheels of government moving here. I'm particularly, as borough manager, CEO of the town, particularly very appreciative of the support that I have and the guidance and the direction from this mayor and council that makes sure that, we hear what their vision is for the town and we're here to carry it out. And that we're able to share that message with you as a community and also get that feedback. Also, I'm particularly happy to hear that a lot of the concerns that you have are things that we already have in the pipeline and are working on, and we're hoping to deliver them to you in a short amount of time. So from my standpoint, Mayor, I'm going to turn it back over to you if you want to give us closing, if you want to hear any closing remarks or.
Yeah, no, again, happy with the turnout. I'm happy that not only did people have a lot of good issues that came up, people were showing up with solutions. I know Adrian offered a solution to her problem when she came up. So that is appreciated also because we need to be made aware of a problem before we can fix it. But it also helps when you're bringing suggestions. I know Dave brought suggestions too about parking on Hudson. So yeah, again, happy. We're going to be doing this on the regular. So in a few months, we'll be somewhere else. We'll figure out where. And again, I would just encourage you, if you're having an issue, to reach out to somebody directly. It's not going to get solved if you're posting it on Facebook. But if you, and here's a quick story. We had the issue on, law of unintended consequences, right? We were having an issue with delivery trucks on Mechanic. They were pulling up and ignoring the signs. And so the chief logically said, well, I'm going to cut off Mechanic Street there. And then we realized the barber shop there, it wasn't on social media. I got a direct email from the guy who owns the barbershop. He said, hey, my customers can't get here. Called the chief right up. Chief went right over there. The next day it was taken care of. So it does work. If you call us, we're listening. We might not always agree with what you're suggesting, but we're definitely listening. So again, thank you all for being here. And oh yeah, office hours. I'm I'll have my office hours every Monday from 4 to 6. Definitely have slots, just call the clerk's office and make an appointment. We're doing, what is it, Wednesday here at the senior center?
Nancy and I were here this morning, Mayor.
Yes, what is it, 10 to 12?
10 to 12.
And then are we doing library by appointment? Which
They go through Mary.
Wednesday nights, right? So if you call the clerk, not everyone can get here in the morning if you're working, but you can also make an appointment to see one of the council people at the library Wednesday evenings, and I think that's it, right?
Good night.
Oh, yeah, another question, there we go. All right, yeah.
So, but I have been going to the planning board about the transit center and subcommittee was formed. Has that committee met?
Yeah, I believe they have met. In fact, I just saw Dan Mancuso, who was here. I think he might have slipped out now, but he was actually away. His stepfather just passed. But they did meet today, and I believe we are on for next week. We're gonna be having our planning board meeting next Wednesday. You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Sure, we'll take more questions. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
My name is Mary Ellen Betts. I live at 95 Hudson Avenue. And I had a concern about the parking at Marine Park. One of the reasons I moved to Red Bank was because I fell in love with Marine Park. And so it's been very painful for me to watch it languish since Hurricane Sandy. So I'm very happy that something's being done, but I am concerned that there really isn't enough parking for the amount of people that we anticipate using it. And also I am concerned that the location of the parking lot at this point means that the spaces are going to be taken over by people who are patronizing the restaurants and the bars in town. And also, when you mentioned that there's gonna be a jet ski launch, jet ski launches require vehicles with trailers. And I don't see the parking being adequate if we're gonna be adding those large vehicles. So I guess my question is for Chief Frazee about how are you going to enforce this and ensure that the parking at Marine Park is really used by park visitors and not people who are scrambling around town looking for a parking spot because they want to go to a restaurant or a bar, because this is a huge problem for us.
First of all, I'm not aware of any jet ski ramp. I mean, I don't know if anyone.
That was in the planning board meeting.
Kayak launch.
Okay. A launch, well,
Kayak launch.
no, there was
There's
mention.
never been a jet ski.
No, they did. They said there was gonna be a jet ski launch.
Yeah.
I talked to the guy about it. I said, what are you gonna do about the trades? Because I used to have a jet ski and I said, hey, that sounds great.
Well, obviously, there's no room for jet ski. Yeah, there's no room for jet ski travel, so that wouldn't be allowed.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
well, that makes me feel a little better. Say that.
As far as the parking lot, it's a public lot. So whether they go to a restaurant or they walk to the park, I think if they're paying the meter or the station, that, they're entitled to go wherever they want.
And we just said the planning board meeting that this is Green Acres funding that's being used for the park. And so therefore, I think that the parking lot, which is part of the Green Acres package, should really be designated for park usage. And this has been an issue because people from the hospital have been using the parking at Marine Park.
All right, I'll touch on that. We have 100 permits out for the hospital that they pay for every year. I moved them all out with Mr. Gant's permission to go to East Side Park. So we allowed 20, right, to go into the new 68 spaces that are down by the new lot. And that's it. And our guys check that every day. So but the chief is right. I cannot tell someone not to park in that lot because it's a public lot. So I wish I could help you more than that with that, but I can't.
Well, I think this is gonna be a real problem for people who live in town, who want to use the park. When I first moved here, there were a lot of fishermen who went down there, who used the fishing pier. So I really think that that was a very missing piece of this whole plan that's going on. I know there was some
a meeting with the council a while ago, people complaining about leaf blowers, and we're kind of now doing leaf blowers. So anything, any discussion on how to rein that in, because honestly, there's no time that you can just sit peacefully in your yard and have a cup of coffee, because every day of the week, there's somebody's, leaf blowers are just gone. So I was just wondering, I wasn't at that meeting, but has there been any discussion about how to handle the noise? It used to be you took, you mowed your own lawn, but now everybody has a landscaper, and they come with the big machines, and the big trucks, and the blowers, and the trimmers, and everything else. And I know these folks have to make a living, but it is noise. Isn't it? It could be a noise ordinance.
Yeah, that's a no.
That's very important, yeah.
Six P M is our ordinance for the, well, and it's not, it's there's something else.
I would just like to add that if you go to redbank.site and click on the environmental tab, there's a lot of educational information about the various programs in town, and one of those are regarding gas-powered leaf blowers, and looking at the health aspect to the person using the equipment, as well as, the noise level as well. At this time, I'm not aware of the town looking to have an ordinance to prohibit the gas-powered leaf blowers. But I do know that there's a bill in the state legislature addressing that, because we have to address the ability for people to be able to transition to a quieter form of equipment, right? As well as, before you do any banning.
E-bikes, e-bikes are kind of a misnomer for some of these vehicles that are flying around town and flying through intersections.
I agree 100%.
Last week, I was approaching the 5 corners by the middle school, heading north on Hudson, and a young guy on a motorized scooter flew through the intersection against the light. He was on the wrong side of the road. And, my home is only 3 blocks south of the intersection, so I hadn't picked up any speed when he flew past me, but, I was just startled, and I see these young kids who seem to be coming over the bridge from Middletown, driving these things in town, and they're not really bikes, they look like small motorcycles, so, what is being done about that?
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. There is, it's something that we really need to address. And, I had to do some homework, and I just sent an email out to, the department, the officers advising them that there's 3 different classes of, categorization for these bikes, which I wasn't aware of until I just started really looking into it. Some of them require a license, like a moped license, and insurance and registration and stuff like that. So I told our guys they need to pick up their enforcement on that, and you need to start identifying it. It's gonna be hard, it's gonna be difficult to identify what type of bike they're riding, but like typical, stop sign violations, riding on the wrong side of the road, I'm hoping our bike patrol, when they start tomorrow, they can start addressing some of these issues, but yeah, we are seeing an increase of violations and stuff like that. A lot of towns have adopted an ordinance preventing or prohibiting some of these e-bikes in their towns and in parks and stuff like that, so they're probably all coming here.
That's funny, chief.
Right, I just wanted to piggyback on Marge's comments about West Front Street. Because there is a problem with drainage in front of the library, and also the crossing. People cross this West Front in front of the library. Because we don't have enough parking for the volume of patrons that we have now. And the demographics there are primarily older people and families with children. And so if anything is planned for West Front Street, I just hope that that area in front of the library will be taken under consideration for the volume of people that use the facility. And also there is very poor drainage there. And basically with a heavy downpour, a lake forms. In front
Right in front of the library?
in front of where the apron from the driveway is. And now we have the new building, that's going up next to us, and I don't know if that's gonna exacerbate it or not. But I know, when I do work there, I'm not speaking for the library, I'm speaking as a resident now. And when I leave the library, you know, I've been hugging, I was always hugging the buildings so that the cars wouldn't go by and cover me with water while I was, you know, trying to get to the intersection. But now there's the fence up, so I don't have really enough room to avoid the water. And I have at times actually walked in the middle of the street around the cars lined up to get past the water, so that's an issue, that drainage. And then the last thing, is there any way to get out of the annual reassessment of our property taxes? We are in a real estate bubble. There was a house 5 doors down from me that sold for $605,000 in February of 2023. It just went on the market 2 months ago. It had been completely gutted, everything's gone, parquet floors gone, chestnut woodwork gone, windows redone, new roof, new siding, everything but the landscaping. And I hear that it's gone for over $1.6 million. And what that does, all our houses in the neighborhood, makes all our houses more valuable, which is very nice. Right. But you don't really reap that benefit until you leave, right? I'm lucky, I can apply for senior freeze, I get the anchor payment, but there are a lot of people in the neighborhood who don't qualify for those programs. And I really think that it is a problem. I mean, typically, all the assessments, we have all this development, all the assessments are going up, right? The value of our property here in town is worth more, but at the same time, you know, then usually your tax rates go down and it kind of balances out, but it's not balancing out anywhere. And I don't know if this is it really is a big issue. And our gubernatorial candidates can say we're gonna make New Jersey more affordable, but it's just gotten worse. And I just think the affordable housing policy exacerbates it, it increases real estate speculation. Okay, and then we've got so we have a lot of investors coming in, and I really think we need to treat property differently. If someone is an owner occupied property, it should be taxed at a different rate than an investment property. That's how I feel about it. People have a right to live in their homes.
I'd just like to add that we are in the assessment demonstration program, Monmouth County, all the towns are in that. We have no choice. So the assessor does the best he can, and you're right, that if a certain property in a certain area goes up, sales, the assessor uses sales as one of the main drivers. But if it's an outlier, like sold way above, the assessor would account for that. But it's supposed to be fair to the rest of the people. It used to be revalued every 10 years, and that didn't account for any improvements at all. So this program is supposed to be making fair. Sometimes your property will increase, your value will increase a little more. Sometimes it stays flat, and it supposedly supposed to even out over the years.
I have a neighbor who bought a home for $450,000 in 2021. Now it says that $680,000. When she moved in, it hadn't really been, anything had been done since the 1960s. So she did a quick and little, you know, rehab, she new paint, new cabinets and everything. So it's gone up over 50%. So now she, her taxes reflect that increase. But when she bought the house and calculated what she could afford for a mortgage or what she could afford to pay in taxes, it wasn't anywhere near where she's paying now. And honestly, these properties going for over $1 million. They don't have swimming pools, okay? They're not particularly luxurious, but we've created this, and I blame River Center for this really, to make us a destination that everybody thinks this is such a wonderful place to live, and it is in certain ways, but it's not because you have, status conscious people coming in and paying too much for these properties. It's really a problem. And all of our council members, although this is a nonpartisan group supposedly elected, you're all very well connected to the Democratic Party, so you're donors to the Democratic Party, and somebody has to start, advocating for some changes, because New Jersey is not affordable anymore, and particularly because Red Bank has become this destination, hip town. Every time we get told that we've been voted like best little town in New Jersey, I just cringe, because I just think that brings more problems than it solves. So that's just why, I had to rant and rave about something tonight, so thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, anyone, and I don't want to cut it, if anyone else has anything to add,
I do actually,
yeah. I'm just gonna stay here all night, I gotta go.
I do want to thank the manager and all of you
Yeah,
for being
thank
here
you for
tonight
being
and
here.
taking the question. Right, the police, there's so many people coming to our town, it's kind of, they're like a cop every time, across Shrewsbury Avenue. I know that's not really possible. But I was impressed with it, was 8,000 signs or whatever the
Yeah,
number was
thank you.
there. I do see the enforcement, and I really appreciate it. Sometimes I do feel like it's kind of like a Dutch person put the finger in the dike though on Shrewsbury Avenue.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody. We'll leave it at that.